Hi, everyone. Welcome to our nature-based early childhood education webinar. This is part of Indiana Children in Nature Network, Happier, Healthier, Smarter. I just want to share just a few things about ICANN, or Indiana Children in Nature Network, as we get started. It is part of the Environmental Educators Association of Indiana. There is a conference for this in the early part of November at Camp Mac in Milford that may be of interest. And we really are trying to work to have state-specific resources for getting outside with children or our communities or families in a variety of ways. Some of the ways that we do that are through ICANN Play 30, where we take a pledge to spend 30 minutes outside every day, or nature play days. And then also we've been creating a map of nature-based early childhood spaces and just resources that may be helpful for early childhood nature-based operations. And then we've also just launched an ambassador program recently as well. So these are some things that we've been sharing. We've got a whole series of webinars that may be of interest, and we will share that website and such with you. Just kind of want to share a little bit about our mission. Really looking to foster that connection of children, family, and connection and communities, really helping with those physical, emotional, intellectual benefits, and trying to have that lifelong love of nature. And we try to raise awareness, promote unstructured playtime outdoors, and really try to have a diverse network of people. And really that's what we're trying to do, is pull all those great efforts that people are doing throughout the state together and to see kind of what is happening in those spaces as well. And we are so excited to have several people from nature-based early childhood programming here in the state of Indiana. I'm going to call you all forerunners because you're doing some great things. Yes, I am recording, Marcos, and did you all get something? I see that it's recording for me. Okay, good. Thank you. And so we have Marcos Stoltzfus. I may have just butchered that. I'll let you say it yourself, but he's from Mary Lee Environmental Learning Center, and he kind of represents a nature-based preschool approach and may have more to share with that because they do a lot of other programming and helping kinder forest programs get started, and then also does a lot of professional development for this field as well. So there's a lot of resources that they have on their website that it's going to be wonderful to share with that. We also have Teresa Hinkle with Nature's Point Cooperative, and I'll let her explain it a little bit more, but it's kind of a neat. They've got an outdoor classroom, a certified nature explorer outdoor classroom, but then they also have a beyond. And when COVID hit, they just started spending more time outside. And then they also have once every 2 weeks or so where they go on a field trip where they spend the whole time outdoors as well. So they have a mix of a variety of elements as part of their nature-based early childhood education. And then we have Elizabeth Rail, and she's got a podcast, which is really cool, but then also has, and so there's a lot of content on her podcast about the how-to logistical side of things, of getting outside with early elementary schools. And then she works at an elementary school and is an outdoor educator at an elementary school. So kind of showing a few different perspectives. And we'll go ahead and start with Marcos, and then we'll go to Teresa, and then we'll go to Elizabeth, just to kind of introduce your space. You're welcome to share some pictures if you'd like to with that, but just kind of let us know what it is that you're doing to get young children outdoors.
Thanks, Carla. All right, I'm gonna just quickly make sure my screen sharing is working properly.
Looks good.
All right. So we're seeing a bunch of kiddos standing in a puddle here. Excellent. So like Carla said, my name is Marcos Stoltzfus, and I work at an organization called Mary Lee Environmental Learning Center of Goshen College. We're in the northeastern part of the state. And the reason I'm part of the webinar today is just to talk a little bit about the preschool that we're running. We're now in our 4th year of that. This is a photo from one of our, I think, first excursions and one of those first rainy days that we really experienced running this a number of years ago. But our preschool is in conjunction with the Cole Family Center YMCA in Kendallville, Indiana. And so we have kind of a shared staffing model where some of the YMCA staff and some of the Mary Lee educators work together to provide programming for, at this point, we can serve up to 20 students. And so they're part of the day at the local primary school for the indoor part. And then they drive just about the mile or so to Mary Lee, and they spend the whole rest of the afternoon with us outdoors. So just to kind of give you a little bit of a sense of some of the things that happen in our program. We are year round and we're outside for all of that. So, we're getting to the point where we're going to start seeing snow soon, if you didn't get that in that most recent storm that we just had. But you can see the students here are all bundled up, and we give them jobs in the classroom. So right now what they're doing is pulling the wagons out, which has all of our supplies, out to the preschool outdoor classroom. Along the way, we're finding all kinds of good stuff to explore and to play in. And so we really do believe that the kids getting muddy and all that kind of thing is a way to show learning happening. And so we've worked our way through that a little bit as educators, and we've worked with some parent communication to, well, let's just put it this way. I always try to show this photo at the very beginning at the parent orientation night so that they know what they're getting into. And then we kind of deal with the fallout after that. So this is a kind of thing that's pretty typical for us in our classroom. We're also often embracing risky play and kind of real world skills. So, some years they get real into using hammers and building structures with some boards and materials that we provide. There's always a lot of tree climbing going on, and this is kind of our classic tree climbing tree in our outdoor classroom. And for some of the students, that involves having to build a little bit of a stepping stone that you can see there. And, we just really see that there's a lot of power in building grit and persistence and, all those good things that many of you, I'm sure, already know about. One piece of our program that we always try to do every day is a sit spot. And so for our preschoolers who are 4 and 5 years old, at this time of year, they've been practicing that now for maybe 2 or 3 weeks regularly. And so they'll sit, at the beginning, just like a few minutes, but in some cases in their program, we've had them staying or able to stay and kind of self-regulate for up to even 10 or 12 minutes at the end of the year. And we find that such a valuable time for them just to kind of center and to breathe and to do little explorations at a different kind of a scale than sometimes they'll do when they're just kind of running around like crazy people. So we try to kind of balance that in the different elements of our day. We also try to do excursions on a regular basis. So this was a wetland excursion where we're out kind of seeing what's going on in the wetland with the life and tadpoles and all that kind of a thing. We often are embracing the muddy play. And I think this was a day where, for whatever reason, we couldn't get to Mary Lee, but we found a nice puddle in the school lawn. And I'm not sure what the groundskeepers thought of us afterwards, but we sure had a lot of learning happening on that day. And, we try to extend that throughout all the seasons as well. So that wetland is a chance for us to explore the seasonal changes and all that kind of thing. Also, everywhere from, the ice on the wetland all the way through until we start to see some of the spring ephemerals pop up, and, they're learning about how that part of Indiana has changed, and they really begin to notice things. So I'll just kind of maybe pause there to mention that that's all of the preschool that we're running. And like Carla said, we also are trying to support educators in a variety of other ways as well. And so just as one example of that, if I can get to it real quick here, hopefully you're able to see this resource here. So this is just a quick example of something that we've put together to try to help educators who are learning a little bit more about this or kind of getting entry into the field to get some more information. And, we're trying to do that through a variety of methods, but we're hoping to build capacity and encourage people who are just on the cusp to take that leap and learn something. So that's the quick version, and I hope I'm doing okay on time, Carla.
Yes, thank you, Marcos. And one thing, if you don't mind sharing just a little bit about, is just the KinderForest model program that you've helped at various schools in your area. And so this would be like for kindergarten or early elementary, and then I'll let you talk about it just briefly.
Yeah, so KinderForest is kind of like a once a month or a once every 2 weeks kind of a model that we've worked with a few public schools on to try to get them to utilize either spaces nearby to them or maybe even land that the district owns. And the way we've typically done that is to kind of help the teachers in that grade understand a little bit of the background and then come alongside them to implement it together in the course of a year or two, but ultimately try to turn that over so that it's a capacity building thing so they can continue to run that indefinitely, not just on, the 1,200 acre nature preserve that we have, but in their own woods or fence line or whatever kind of space that they have on their own.
Yeah, and that's been great to see kind of popping up at a variety of schools in the Northeastern region. So that's just great. I've been thoroughly enjoying everything that I'm seeing from you. We're going to kind of switch gears and see a little bit different of a program. And Teresa, you want to go ahead?
Sure thing. Let me see if I can pull up my pictures. Let's see. Nope, that's not the one.
And Teresa's school is more of a cooperative. And so parents are expected to be part of the educational process. And there are a variety of ways that they can be involved in. And there's a lot of parent education that happens with that as well. And they are preschool and they have a variety of layers of that, I would say. You ready, Teresa?
Well, no, I'm trying to pull up a Google Doc and I'm not finding it.
Uh-oh. Do you want us to come back?
Yes, go ahead on to the next person. Sorry.
We'll come back. It's fine. And just with Teresa's model, they have an outdoor classroom, a Nature Explorer certified close to their school, but then they also have a beyond outside on their same property. And then they also go on field trips as part of their just regular model that they have. And we'll let her talk about how that all works in a minute. And we'll go ahead to Elizabeth and let you share a little bit about your school and how it all works. And it kind of looks from your website like you have a specific first grade nature teacher, second grade nature teacher, and then an outdoor educator as well. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yes, we do. Okay, so can I share?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to share something. I don't know. It's not showing up. So let's see. Open system balls. Hopefully it's the right one.
Okay.
Oh, maybe not. What do you guys see? Anything? My security? Yeah. Marco, how'd you do it?
I'm going to make you a co-host and see if that makes a difference. For some people, maybe
Okay.
it does, and others it doesn't.
I guess I could just.
So for me, what I had to do is make sure that I had a window open with the photos in a different application. And
It's
then
open. It's in
Zoom.
PowerPoint.
Okay. So I would then, what worked for me was to go to the share screen button in Zoom, and then hopefully one of those windows that popped up was the image that I was looking for.
Okay, let's see.
I love technology and also, yeah.
Usually when okay, so you did make me a co-host?
Yes.
All right, well, I'm going to keep talking
Okay.
while I keep trying. Advanced sharing. Oh, advanced sharing options. Who can share? It says the host only.
Ooh.
But then Marco got to do it.
And you're a co-host as well. So.
Okay. So my name's Elizabeth Rail, and this year I'm a kindergarten teacher at Boulevard Elementary, and I'm in Kokomo, Indiana. So I'm not sure. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. So that's more in the central Indiana. And we're right in the middle, and we are a public school. So we're in the Kokomo School District, but we kind of have some specialty schools in our area. And we are the STEM elementary school. And then within that, we have an outdoor learning program. And so it started the first year as pre-K. And then the next year they added on to kindergarten. And so every year that first group they went on to first grade, then they went on to second grade. And then now our first group are now fifth graders. So my daughter was actually in the program, and she's just aged out as in third grade. So she went back to the normal STEM. So we have kind of I feel like it's a great option for our families here. Hold on, I'm still trying to share as I'm talking. Dropbox, Google, I could try Google Drive.
And I did try to change some settings to see if that might help too. So.
Okay. So this is my fifth year teaching. So we used to loop. So I would do the pre-K teacher, and I'd take the group up to kindergarten. And then we're going away with that. So now I'm going to be the kindergarten outdoor teacher for reasons that are outside of my control. So this is the last year that I get to loop. All right, I'm going to try it one more time, guys. Open system preferences and grant access. Did you have to grant access? Anybody?
I am not seeing that.
I think after I did a Zoom update, I did, but I did not have to specifically tonight.
Okay, well, I did an update earlier today, so I was all ready. Sorry, guys.
And maybe you can
let's-
link to some pictures or something like that that we can share as an extra resource or something. So
Yes, I'm gonna try it one more time and then we're just gonna go with it. System preferences. And usually I let you just share your desktop too.
yeah.
Show all windows, maybe? No. Did the other person figure
Teresa,
it
did
out?
you figure yours out?
Did you
I've
figure
got
yours
mine.
out?
I can go ahead if you want me to go
Okay.
ahead and try.
Teresa, go for it because I am sorry. I think I have to do
Okay.
some kind of update, something,
Sure.
some
Yeah,
security
I
thing.
think mine is here now. I think I have it.
Okay,
What'd you
yeah,
do?
Teresa's is working, good.
All right.
Okay, I'll mute.
All right. All right, as Carla mentioned, I'm at Nature's Point Cooperative Preschool, and we're in the middle of Indiana. We're about 20 minutes from Indianapolis. So this you're seeing is actually our welcome feature to our outdoor classroom. We are Nature Explorer certified as of 2019. So we recertify every year. So this is our welcome feature. And you're going to see lots of sunflowers on our playground. Because we're a co-op, we have parents who are very involved in the school. Parents provide a critical role into the makeup of the co-op, and they run the board, they hold a job in the school, they maintain the school, and they also assist in the classroom. And they also have to do so many hours of parent education per year. I believe it's 8 hours of parent education per year as part of their contract with the school. And so they are very involved. And so what's great about that is they're seeing how beneficial the outdoor classroom is for their children, especially since, like, as Carla mentioned, since 2020 COVID. So our motto or our theme throughout the school is parents, teachers, and children learning together. And so this is a picture on the left of, well, it'll be on the parents lean down at the light table. This is a parent education event where we set up indoor and outdoor things for our parents to explore and talk about how the children were learning from that experience. As Carla mentioned, we did move our classrooms outdoors during for 2 years. All of our classes were outside 100% of the time. Obviously, when there was bad weather, such as thunderstorms, we couldn't hold class, so we would do a Zoom class in lieu of that, so that they still got something. Our outdoor classroom is always changing, but our philosophy was there's nothing that we do inside that we cannot do outside. So we kind of have multi-layer approach to this. We bring the nature inside, as you'll see in some of the pictures. Now that COVID is less, our 4s, 5s class is spending a little more time inside, just because we know a lot of those children are going on to public school kindergarten and won't have the luxury of being outside as much. And so we wanted to give them a little more balanced approach, but we still spend way more time outside than we do inside. We still think there's way too much benefit from being outside. We use a lot of loose parts in our indoor and outdoor classrooms. So you'll see lots of nature loose parts and manufactured loose parts. And so our multi-layer approach, basically, as I mentioned already, is that anytime we have opportunity to bring nature inside, we do. You'll see that, you see on the one side where we have the sunflowers. And what was awesome about that, the children see sunflowers all the time outside and they're mesmerized by them. They love the fact that they see them all over the classroom, because what happened was we started with a small patch of sunflowers that quickly went and spread throughout our whole outdoor classroom because of the birds and the children spreading the seeds. And so we've learned a lot about that. We the positive side is we brought the sunflowers in, and you can see in the bottom picture where we have a little bit of the what am I trying to think of?
Pollen?
Pollen, thank you. So we talked about the fact that that's pollen. That's what the bees look for. And so we have indoor time, outdoor time, and as Carla mentioned, our Forest Fives class does what we call forest days every other week. So we will go out every other week, and on those opposite weeks, we do sit spots and 100% outdoor classroom. We do a lot of social emotional development as part of our school as well. You'll see on the left, on the one side, we're doing talking about our emotions. How do you feel today, kind of discussion. And then on the right, we do a lot of deep breathing and learning about that, how that helps us. These are pictures of our outdoor classroom. And our outdoor classroom is ever evolving. And we love that about it, because it's always new and fresh for the children. And it keeps the wonder alive in the fact that it's always changing. And you'll see on the one picture with just the plastic climber, that's what we had to begin with. And now we have, to the other side, the more natural playground, which is our lovely space. So that's our
Thank
program.
you, Teresa. And I'm actually in New York doing a Nature Explorer consultation design thing right now. And so it's so neat to see that transformation from a blank empty space basically into a very nature rich space. And I love that you take it beyond that. That's your everyday nature that's there that you can go out to. But then you also use your beyond and then the forest days as well. And so I think that's wonderful. Elizabeth, how's it looking for pictures for you? You're muted.
I didn't want to share it in the middle of hers. So
You got okay.
Hopefully it will work. I did have a question though, Teresa. Was that a greenhouse in the picture with the snow?
No, that's actually, we have a playhouse that was erected. A lot of the parents came together and we put together this wonderful outdoor playhouse that's open on one side, but we can bring heaters in and it helps in the winter.
Oh, that's great.
And
okay.
With greenhouses, just as part of the design and planning process, I see that often in plans as becoming like a warming station in the wintertime. And I was at Ithaca Children's Garden in Ithaca, New York yesterday, and they had done one just with poles and pop bottles, like cut in different things. I can share some pictures of it, but it does help bring that warmth of the sun into that space and warm it up a little bit. I know that oftentimes figuring out the logistics of being outside in the wintertime is like, oh, how do we do this? But there are options around it and such. But go ahead, Elizabeth.
Okay, mine says open system preferences and secure and privacy grant access. Has anyone ever done that? This is horrible. I'm so sorry. Security.
Elizabeth, I ended up downloading it onto my desktop.
Downloading what?
Mine was a Google.
I downloaded it. It's as a PowerPoint.
Oh.
But it's I think some kind of security thing.
Do you have the PowerPoint open?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
You know what we could do too is figure this out offline, Elizabeth, and we can record this and I'll have my husband put it together before we put it up on the thing. So.
Okay, one more thing. So my husband's here.
Okay.
It's not letting me share it. And it says, this is what it says. Sorry, guys, open system preferences, security, privacy, grant access. I need to just grant its access. Do you know how to do that?
Who's leading the Zoom call?
Carla, but I'm a
I am.
person.
I
She
don't
is.
see anything on my side that
They
says
have to give you
that.
access, so she can't see your screen.
But you gave me access already? Yeah, because everybody else got to share but me. It's some kind of privacy thing. See how this not shows anything? System preferences. Okay, so Carla, you want to tell us a little bit more about what you're doing at Ithaca
Oh,
as we work on this? You said you were showing about you're creating something.
so
Access.
I do some consultation with Nature Explorer outdoor classrooms, and there is a whole list of them in Indiana on their Nature Explorer website. And maybe that's a resource that we can share out with this as well. But I'm at a library in Bath, New York, and I knew that Ithaca wasn't too far. I was like, let's go check out the children's garden because it's got the nature anarchy zone as well. And so it's an adventure playground is what that Rusty Keeler has been a part of in the designing stages and such. And so it's just neat to see how much programming they do at this 3-acre garden. They've got nature preschool. As part of it, they've got after school programming and all outside. They don't have an indoor shelter at all. And then they have like counselors in training, and then they have a teen like farm to stand, farm to market kind of program. So there's something for children all along the spectrum. And then it's an open park, open dawn to dusk that families can just come and enjoy. It becomes a like destination space as part of it. There's a lot of cool things with it. And Elizabeth, we really can pull up the pictures and record that portion later. So yeah. And with all of it, it just kind of shows us that there are a lot of different options on getting outside with whatever space that we have. And Elizabeth, I know you're still kind of working on things. I did want to kind of introduce Arletta Brown too. She is home-based childcare provider that does nature-based early childhood education as well. And so I've met her through Indiana AEYC, the Association of Education for Young Children. And it's just fascinating to see her transformation and journey as an educator when she brought nature into it. And having presented with her, I see, you know, the tips and tricks that she does to be able to take infant through a school age, probably at least 5-year-olds outside together all at the same time and take care of their needs and while delivering her program and caring for the children that are there. So Arletta, we'll let you go ahead and share whatever you'd like.
Thanks, Carla. I'm Arletta Brown, and I've been in the childcare business for going on 30 years. And
Like, I want to take care of my grandkids now.
Yeah, I was ready just to give up this several years ago, and then the opportunity for the Nature Explorer program came around Indiana, and so I went to up and was hooked on that, and that was about like 2006, and then so I started working on my program and getting it ready to be certified. And then finally about 2015, felt like everything was just perfect, but it doesn't have to be perfect. One of the administrators there at Nature Explore, I saw her at a conference. She said, Arletta, are you certified yet? So she's like, get on it. So in 2015, I became certified in Nature Explorer. And I also have a place that we can go beyond our backyard, and that is a woods across the street behind the high school that has nature trails. So I take my children there a lot. And yeah, we take care of kids that are right now 10 months to 5 years. So we can spend, on good days, we spend about 7 hours outside out of the 10 hours that we watch kids. We sleep outside, on the cots and sleeping bags, and about 50 degrees is my limit as far as the temperature outside. But yeah, we enjoy it, have a good time. I think it was one of the other ladies said, we can do everything inside that we can do outside, or out and different outside that the kids write on, and you know, we take books outside and have our reading time, and so yeah, that's our program.
Wonderful. Thank you, Arletta. I appreciate it. We also have other people from other programs. So as we get into our discussion and such, you're more than welcome to share anything and introduce yourself with your program. And I know that everyone's from different places. Some people may be leading like a family nature group kind of thing. A couple of people are ambassadors for our Indiana Children in Nature Network. And some people have just been doing more and more outside. And I believe, Kara, you've gone through like ARAFANS training as part of nature-based early childhood education, the Eastern Regional Association of Forest School something, and nature schools, forest and nature schools. And that really informs your practice too. After kind of getting that initial taste with me, like how could we envision using this? And I know you've gone over and seen Marcos's program in action and such. Do you want to share a little bit about kind of some of those influential factors in getting outside more?
Yeah, I just tried to open a screen because I had some pictures too and I couldn't get it. So I understand now how she feels. But yeah, I'm giving a talk at Isaac's with Dr. Ellie in November. So I had some pictures to share, but I teach at Canterbury School. I teach pre-K. We do outdoor ed 1 day a week. So unfortunately, we can't just walk out our doors and be in nature. We have to take a bus 3 minutes to 70 acres that belong to us. So that's what I do, and I love it. I didn't know what I was doing the first year. I was just thrown into it, and luckily my school provided a grant for me to go to ARAFANS, and it really gave me just a passion and a new outlook on teaching. So I've found a new passion for teaching, and I love being outside, and I love challenging the kids and letting them climb over rocks and climb trees and be in water and mud puddles. So life is good in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Cool. And yes, Canterbury and Fort Wayne. Cool, Ashley. It's neat to see those connections. And we've started a map. We are still adding more to it. So if you know of additional programs on the ICANN website, you can just send a contact form in and say, hey, this is a school you need to check out. And I just got a message from your school, Kara, about making sure we add that.
Okay.
So that's great. And Elizabeth, is there anything else you want to share while we're here? And then we'll open it up to questions and such.
Yeah, I'll just kind of share a little bit about what we do.
Okay.
I know some of the questions you talked about, like what we tell parents and that kind of thing. I loved listening to everybody because it's hard to find people that do what you do and understand. So it was so refreshing to hear what you guys said. I really wish you could see our pictures to kind of give you an idea. But we do pre-K to second grade. And a lot of things that everybody said resonated with us. One big thing that our big motto is there's no bad weather, just bad clothing. So we do go out all year long. So in kindergarten, we spend the morning inside, and more, it's traditional, but also like Teresa, like we bring the outside in and the inside out. So everything we do outside, we can do inside and vice versa, but our afternoon is spent outside, and we have quite a few different classrooms that we call it. So we're fortunate enough, we have 2 reconstructed cabins from long ago. We just constructed our second one. So we have 2 outdoor classrooms that house a lot of our things, which is it was a very expensive product for, I feel like, housing our stuff, because we spend most of our time outside when we are outside. So we have a meadow that we call one of our classrooms. We have this burrow area. Our school is about that we go into traditionally is about a half mile. We walk out to the different areas outside. So we have a cabin area that has the wood that you can explore, climb trees, and do that kind of thing. We also have a pond, so we feed fish. We can study the insects in the water, and kind of the same thing as Mary Lee there. And we have, what else do we and then we have a woods and trails that we get to explore depending on what the day is and what the weather is. So someone said that life is just better like in this kind of structure. I forget who said that because so I was busy working on my computer, but I feel like, I feel like I could never go back to a traditional classroom because once you get outside, everything just feels better. Even if you had a rough day inside, when you get outside, you're like, oh, okay, now we can really learn and like really make it happen. So one thing I love about our program is it's very multisensory. So the kids are exploring all of the senses when they're outside. They are either eating the ice or they are exploring different avenues, but they're using all of their senses. And that's really going to help the kids understand what they're learning and really kind of make it dive deeper. And so that was one good thing. The second thing is I think it helps our kids be critical thinkers. So I like to create people that are going to be world changers and they're thinking and we're not telling them the answer, but we're letting them find the answer. So you can plant little seeds along the way, but then they see it and it's like kind of like an aha. So like if we read books about insects, because right now the praying mantises are everywhere. So we read about them, but then when they actually get to find one and see one, they can see the head, the thorax, and the abdomen, but it really makes sense to them now. It's not something they just read in a book, but it's something that they see and can interact with. And kind of with that, I think it's really important. All the work that we're doing is that we're teaching them to take care of that little insect. So if we can teach them to make sure that they are caring for this praying mantis instead of stomping on it, then they're going to care for each other. Kind of what Teresa said about helping social emotional things. So if we're teaching them to zoom in really close and taking care of the small things, they're going to take care of each other and take care of the big things later on. You can tell me to stop at any time. I'll just keep going.
Yeah, thank you so much. I do want to give us a time to kind of chat a little bit and see how your programs kind of came together and stuff. I do want to recommend the book Teaching Off Trail, and that is a journey of a kindergarten teacher who moved his classroom just more and more outside. And so a little bit like it's great to hear from people here, but then also see resources where people have done it and such. And you need to have your book coming out sometime soon too, Elizabeth. I think that would be great. So one thing that I kind of think about, and if people have questions for each other, you can type them in the chat, or we can even unmute and share. But was it expensive to start doing things outside? Anyone can unmute and answer.
I would say no. We just moved stuff outside that we had inside. Initially that was where we went until we kind of got an idea about how we wanted to use the space. And then we over time added more and more stuff. A lot of stuff were donated. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Anybody else want to share another perspective?
I'd like to say our library area was just a blanket underneath the tree with a basket of books. I mean, that's as simple as that. And we have a storage barn, so, we can take out and we just have books outside, books inside. I said, we have the chalkboard. Actually, it was donated from a friend of mine that came out of an old school building. So it's actually a real slate board. So my husband just put a frame around that. And then we a wall by our house. And then we moved further out the yard and built a gazebo. And so it's inside our gazebo, our meeting place there. So where I say we have our lessons.
And I love that it doesn't have to be expensive. We can eventually add more things on and such, but a blanket and a pile of books, a basket of books, that's very easy. I also talk about doing like mobile spots and, just bringing the cart of things out if you may need it. I know, Marcos, at your program, you guys go pretty low tech with most of the things that you do, and you just use what nature is there without a lot of extra stuff. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, in part, the reason that we've done some of our program is to provide an example to others looking to try something similar. And so we've intentionally tried to do things like our toileting situation isn't anything real fancy. We have kind of a pop-up shower tent and then a camping stool with kind of a baggy insert so that can get loaded on the wagon and taken with us wherever we want, as opposed to doing some kind of capital project to install, a whole outhouse or something like that. in our space, because we're out in the woods in our classroom, one I think really concrete example of how we've tried to make do with what we have is when we were doing our site analysis to make sure that we were assessing any hazards, and we identified that there were some trees, like an old dead ash stand would have constituted a fall hazard. We decided that when we felled those trunks, to actually leave them where they lie and to have that be kind of a natural lattice for climbing structure for those students. And then in addition to that, when it was kind of like a 3 or a 4 trunk tree, and so when we cut those down, we didn't just lop them off all at the same time. We tried to do one a little lower and one higher to kind of provide some variable climbing structure levels to just give the kids more opportunity to kind of clamber around and some of that kind of thing. So that's, I guess, just 2 quick examples that come to mind for me.
Okay, thank you. I know
That-
another thing that I see is that people do want to just spend all this money as they get started. What was it worth it to actually spend money on? What do you feel like? I know I have made some purchases that I'm like, I didn't really need that. You know, I'm glad that I made that mistake instead of other people doing it. Are there some things that were really worth it for your program in your setting? It doesn't mean it's going to be for everybody.
I'm going to chime in there. Mine would be the right clothing for the students. So you do not want a frog tog rain suit. They will rip every time. So you want to have quality rain suit, because if you can keep them warm, they'll stay outside, and you don't need to have a lot of things that you can give them. So a quality rain suit, quality face mask for winter, and snowsuit, and really good boots. So we were able to get rain suits with a grant for our pre-K. Also size up because they outgrow them by spring. So the lesson learned is I got too small of one. So always size up for rain suits, but anything you can do to keep them comfortable and protected, they will have hours and hours of outside learning in all of the weather. So that'd be one thing. Also, you'll find yourself like all like the wood and the logs, you could spend really expensive things, but there's wood everywhere that people are losing their trees. And I have a friend that's in a nature preschool. She's home-based, and we're always texting like, hey, we found some wood on the side of the road, like you can go. So I don't know how many times my husband has gone with his trailer to go get logs and things to create a sitting center, like a place to sit together, or climbing, or a gross motor area. So it does not take a lot of money, but rain suits and things are a good investment.
Marcos was like, yes, I was like, yes. So yeah, having that protective gear is very helpful. And with that, there have been many grants available, and there are some resources that kind of walk you through the different options. And we'll try to link to that as well, so that you can see what's there and what may fit your needs the best. I hear a lot of people like Okiware or Polyarnet. I think that Polyyarn, that one. Are there other ones that you all like for outdoor gear in particular?
The
Actually,
Oki definitely. Oops, sorry.
I really like the REI rain pants for the kids. They've last for years, and I can down. I'm the same way. I purchase all the rain pants for the clothes, so yeah, the REI has a really nice pair of rain pants, and then they have the little button cinchers at the top, the adjustable ones, and my kiddos can put those on and take them off at age 2, and that helps with toileting as well.
And Arletta, you just have done like a little children's potty in the barn, the storage barn, right?
Yeah, we have actually I have an adult one too, because
you need to go.
That's exactly right. I can't take all 5 of them back to the house, and at my age, that's frequent. So
Marcos, I know that one thing that you've talked about different times is the waterproof glove cover kind of things. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, ditto everything about that clothing. Having the good shell and the good layers are just so key, especially on the outside. And the one that we kind of stumbled across accidentally, but we really love, is I think from the Polarny Pryet company, and they're basically a waterproof mitten cover. And so it can go over different thicknesses of kind of insulating mitten or glove, but it lets them just go all the way up to their wrists in just straight water or mud, and it just keeps them nice and dry and lets them do all kinds of great exploring.
Thank you. One thing that I have noticed working with a variety of educators in just early childhood in general is that oftentimes it's the educators that aren't willing and ready to go outside. What do you all do to help yourselves be comfortable in colder weather, more inclement weather?
The right kind of care for us as well. You know, layering, knowing how to layer right and doing that is really important.
Okay. Anybody else?
Layering, definitely the clothing, and I think our attitude. So even if you have to fake it for a little bit and be like, I'm so excited to go outside today. It's 2 degrees. This is gonna be great. Like all the things we're gonna learn. But then once you actually get out there and if you're properly covered, it is really nice. No matter, like every day I'm like, okay, I'm glad I came outside. So it's also controlling our attitude, I think, even though some days we don't feel like it.
Yeah.
And a good cup of coffee.
Well, and when you go out and you see the benefits to the children, I will say that we noticed significant difference in the behavior of the children. There was too much to keep them involved, and we had lots of stuff inside planned for them, but outside there's so much more to explore.
Yeah. Thank you.
I guess I have to share my hat too. This is my favorite winter hat. So, it just makes me feel good to put that on. And when it gets really cold out, it keeps me really warm. So
Yeah.
I have about 5 or 6 hats. That's kind of my thing. I like cute hats.
Okay. Yeah, they are cute. I like them too. So I like to learn from other people. Oh, and you mentioned having coffee for you. I have done like Tinkergarten classes out in the wintertime and just having some warm tea. It doesn't even have to be hot, but something to warm up for the children as well. And I just get like the celestial seasonings kind of thing and put warm water in the jug, the canteen, and put my packets in there and then just have little teacups and such for them. But any of those kinds of things to warm up. Does anyone use fire? Just kind of checking out there. I know there's some regulations around that. So just kind of curious. I know that especially programs that have more parental involvement, sometimes it's a little bit easier to and such. And there are some great resources out there on using fire if it works within your framework and licensing and those kinds of things to consider. So
I do know that
Yeah.
some of the Kinderforest programs that we've worked with have included fire either as a warming station or for cooking like hot dogs as their lunch on those forest days.
Yeah.
But we don't have any direct experience ourselves with that.
Okay. And with that, there's going to be like a benefit risk analysis with that, teaching how to be around the fire, more supervision with that and such. So it's not just, oh, let's just go make a fire. It's, a process to go through. And as far as mistakes, are there mistakes that you feel like you may have made that other people can learn from, if that makes sense? and is there something that you would like to share with that?
Well, a lot of times I feel like you get yourself in a situation where like, oh no, I should not have done that. When it's really muddy, I don't know if anybody that goes out like far, but I've gotten many boots stuck, like where you had to pick the kid up and the boots stayed. And yeah, so test
It was
the
me
mud.
that was stuck.
I've been stuck too, and I've fallen a lot. Watch for holes and test the mud because they will sink. So if it's frozen in the morning, it might not be in the afternoon, and then kids get stuck. And they think it's funny, but then it's also you have to get in to get them. So testing your different surfaces when the temperature changes.
Yeah. And just with ice in general, I have a whole podcast episode about ice and using it as a loose part in our spaces. But there are, solid things to help know if it's okay to be on the ice and things. I know, Marcos, you had shared some pictures of being on the ice. Do you have anything to share with that?
Well, I wouldn't frame it as a day that we really screwed up necessarily, but
yeah, sorry.
we do go out on the ice.
You're
we
very
have kind of
intentional.
a protocol for the thickness and that kind of thing. And I think in that photo, you might have seen it, there was a rope in the background. And so we've done some kind of boundary setting based off of what we know about the wetland that we're on, or where it may be more likely to be thin or thick. Or also just because in our case, the students are pretty used to being in a classroom with some designated boundaries in a forested area. And so then when we get out on the wetland, it can be really a cool free experience, but we also want to kind of keep them at least in a certain area. So that's some things we've done with ice before, just to kind of help keep some parameters around it, I guess.
And I've seen you all do that just in your outdoor forest as well, like kind of put tree tags up or something, just define this is a space that it's okay to be in.
Yep,
So,
you got it. We will visit those kind of tags early in the year to help the students understand kind of where those are and do some reinforcement as needed.
okay. Yeah, and that totally was not a mistake. And thank you for sharing it. Did other people have mistakes that they wanted to share or that we can learn from?
I will throw this one in there. Our beyond space is usually like a nature preserve in the area, or a park, just because we don't have a real big forest area that we can go to close to our school. So it's usually a park or somewhere. And so I've usually counted on having bathrooms at the park. Well, we found that some parks close their bathrooms during the winter. And so we have been in situations where we were not prepared in that regard. So, we have since remedied that situation and have a solution for that, where I know which parks do close now their bathroom. And so we would take a bucket or something to use for that.
Yeah, thank you. I have been in those same situations and I'm like, and oftentimes for me, it's been a parent-child kind of situation. Like there's a gas station down the road, but yeah, being aware.
Carla, I do have a mistake I can share about,
Okay.
or I guess a learning opportunity, I'll frame it as, right?
Yes,
so
that works.
I'm sure that many of the folks on the call could identify with the experience of figuring out how to communicate with parents or with visiting observers. And, we've have a lot of people that come and check out what we're doing. And we get used to some of the responses. They're like, oh, wow, you're giving a kid a hammer, or they're using a saw, or you really go outside every day, like even if it's raining, and some of those kinds of things. But every now and then I'll be caught off guard by something that we've considered to be pretty typical, but is not the case for somebody else. And so there was one day where we had a group of folks come out and they were looking at putting in a native prairie at their kind of more typical preschool setting. And they wanted to see how we use our prairie as a little bit of a loop for the students to walk through when the grass is taller than them, as kind of a risky play element, that kind of the fear of being on your own and some of those types of things. And so they are coming out to check out our site and kind of do a little field trip on that. Well, little did I know that the decomposition station that we had set up, it's kind of like modeled off of the boneyard that Cincinnati Nature Center has, where they'll put like a found carcass in it and cage it off so it doesn't get drug off by a predator. But then we can revisit that regularly and see the bones appear and watch the decomposition process happen. Well, that was a little bit outside of their proximal zone of development, or they were not ready for that. And so it was interesting to see, like, oh, they were coming to learn about this thing. It felt really radical before they saw the boneyard. Once they saw that, the prairie seemed really tame. And so I think they're putting a prairie in now. But it's just, one of those things, like, you never know what's going to really stand out to somebody as like, oh, that's way outside of my comfort zone.
And I'm so fascinated by that bone place as well. Oh, it's working, Elizabeth. Cool.
So sorry, did it work?
Yes, go for it.
It's slideshow at the top, Elizabeth.
Yeah, there you go. And I love that you have it like stairs stepped so that children are growing from preschool to kindergarten to first grade and second grade. You are muted.
So sorry.
There we go.
So I'll just quickly go through a little bit of pictures so you can kind of see what we were talking about, how they're learning through like all the seasons. We have one hill. So in the winter, we do a lot of gravity and force and things, and they make their own sleds and do that kind of thing to kind of explore. But I know you don't have a lot of time, so I'll just kind of go through it here a little bit. And if anybody has any questions, but yeah, we go out in all weather. This is a picture of, we tap maple trees and we make maple syrup. So the kids are using their grit and all kinds of things to make the maple syrup. And then we have a big maple syrup party at the end of it. That's a picture of our pond, and we do lots of things out there. It's our favorite place to write and do all kinds of stuff there. So that's kind of a little bit about what it looks like. We do a lot of climbing and a lot of experimenting in the woods with different kind of trees and things. And safety is a big thing, but risk, teaching them how to have healthy risk is really good for their brain development. So that's kind of how we teach them how to do things safely so they can grow confidence. So yeah, that's kind of like, that's us doing our thing. So that's a picture of us, our inside of our classroom, that's inside of our cabin, and this is our walk out. So you can see it in kind of the different things.
Oh, wow. What a rich space that you have, and have it just kind of right there, right outside of your classroom. That's great.
Yeah, we're very lucky.
Yeah. Thank
Okay,
you so
I'll
much
stop
for sharing.
sharing. Now that I know how to
Just
share, I
coding.
can stop sharing.
Yeah. Okay, and I know that we're kind of running out of time, and I have so many more questions, of course. Real quick, top resource that you may have for other people that may be interested in this. I'm going to say Marcos's, Mary Lee's ECHO, Early Childhood Hoosiers Outdoors. They get together once a month. We do have a link for it on the ICANN website. But it's just a network of people that are interested in doing this type of things. So anybody else?
I'll say Nature Explorer, even if you don't get certified, their materials are very good.
I'll point out Natural Start Alliance has tons of resources. They have a Google group that is very active. You can post questions to everybody that is on that listserv, and you can get a lot of responses from anything, from licensing all the way to what boots are good, or, whatever kind of comes to mind for a practitioner who's wanting to get outside with kiddos.
Yes, to both of those kinds of things. And Natural Start Alliance has a great conference as well. I've been able to go to several of those, and just great resources online and webinars and things of that sort as well. So we'll link to these resources. And Nature Explorer too, great institute in the summer that they have, and just help to kind of make that transition and make next steps nature-based stuff. Okay, anybody else?
The 1,000 hours outside is a great resource as well.
It is, and there's even a special group for like educators doing it.
Oh, I didn't know that. So
Yeah. I'll have to try to invite you if I send me a message. So, okay. Anybody else have a resource they want to share?
The Project Learning Tree and
Growing Up Wild. And
Growing Up Wild are great resources usually through the National Forest, I think.
Yeah.
Forest Department.
There's a few different things, and we'll actually try to have a webinar this next year with some of the people that provide that training, just to kind of have some additional resources with that. Okay, licensing, real quick. What helps you with licensing if you are licensed? Nope. Okay.
We're level 3 licensed, so we can do On My Way pre-K.
Okay.
I think the key for us was, I don't know if you guys have ever been through the licensing process, but they're like keying on 10 centers, 10 centers, and all the different requirements. And so you just make those outside. Yeah. And so when they came to visit, it was, they loved it. They really wanted to stay out there all day long. Yeah. So if we kind of so being in public schools, we have to fit into their rules, kind of, but it's not that hard, like to make it nature-based and being outside, we just have those 10 centers outside, and safety is a thing, and we lock the pond door gate for sure on that day.
Yeah.
And you have to preference it a lot. So like what Marco was saying about how you have to explain when visitors come, you have to explain why we allow them to climb the tree they did, or how they're holding the stick that way. So it was pretty easy.
Okay.
Scary to get it all ready, but then it was good.
And that Nature Explorer outdoor classroom model does have different areas and zones, which would match up with some of those things. And so just one of many ways of doing that. Okay, what keeps you doing this? Just quick answers.
Well, I continue to do it because now I'm helping to raise my grandchildren. So it's what I want for them. So that's why we continue.
Yeah. And intergenerational kinds of things. I love it.
And I'll piggyback on that. My son's in my kindergarten class, and my daughter was in second grade, and just to see the growth that they have, and the ahas the kids are having, the kids keep us going.
Mm.
I would ditto that, but I would also say for us, since we have the parent involvement, is seeing the parents get on board,
That's
with the
huge.
idea.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah, I think the same, seeing the kids grow and change over the year and the ways that they develop is so inspiring. But I think ultimately, like, we're really hoping to develop those students long term into future environmental stewards. And I think that has to start with having a love of a place that they really get to know well, and having experiences in it and discoveries. And so really, I think that's why we keep doing it.
Yeah. Cool.
I keep doing it because I love kids, and they love being outside, and I love being outside, and it's forming a foundation to love the earth.
Wonderful. Did you get your slides to maybe work or not really?
Me, no.
Okay.
No, she figured it out somehow. So she
Okay.
said she went into preferences and restarted. So I'm scared that at the conference, something bad's going to happen. And we won't be able to get our slideshow open.
Just go ahead of time to systems and privacy and click
Mhm.
Zoom is shareable,
Okay, got
and,
it. Thank
and
you.
then restart.
Okay.
Okay.
'Cause
Good
when I
info.
guess Marco probably did that when he downloaded this today. I downloaded mine and it did not do that.
Okay.
So that's why I left and came back.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks so much, everyone. Any final thoughts, advice, any of those tips that you want to share for someone that may be on the fence and think, I want to take a step? What's a step that people can take moving in this direction?
Just do one thing, start with one thing and work your way up.
So I was going to say too, you don't have to do it all at once. Just add one little thing at a time.
Wonderful.
And don't overcomplicate it. Let them get outside and let's see what they see, and then build on that.
Yeah. Just go outside and let them guide you.
Okay. Thank you all so much. We're going to combine many of these resources and put that out as we share this reference, and we'll tag your schools and you all in this as well. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise and your time as part of this, and being part of this wonderful and growing movement here in the state of Indiana, and being some of the forerunners really that are helping bring back that nature to education and with our early childhood educators. Once again, thanks again. And just a little bit of update on ICANN, Indiana Children Nature Network. If you are interested, on the first Thursday of December, 8 p.m., we are going to be having an I Can Play 30 chat. So talking about seasonal resources of how to get outside during this time. So starting right before winter kind of thing, and combine it with a discussion of the books, The Sense of Wonder by Rachel Carson. So we will have that in our email blast and things like that, and online on Facebook and things. So if that's something that is helpful for you, we'd love to have you join. One thing that has always impressed me with Rachel Carson, she talks about how a child just needs one interested adult to join in that sense of wonder with them and to continue to grow with it. And I think someone, Teresa, it was you said that you as educators, parents, and children are all learning together. We do not have to be the experts on everything. We can just go out and experience nature and learn as we observe and focus and see what is happening through the children's eyes as well. So thanks again.
Thanks, Carla.
Thank you all. This has been wonderful. I love all your insight.
Thanks all. Bye.